This is Lon Winters with Graphic Elephants.
This is Jimmy Lamb.
This is Matt Masalo with the RhinstoneWorld.com.
And you're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
And you are listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by...
My name is Terry Combs, RG, regular guy.
And Aaron Montgomery.
We're just regular guys having fun and trying to make a living in this really cool and exciting industry.
I think we all want to succeed 100% of the time.
Seek to understand before I try and make myself understood.
Bring a ton of great information.
Coming to you live from somewhere dark, dirty, and dank.
February 3rd, 2023. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
Terry, let's do that again. You were muted, so.
Oh. Well, for our podcast listeners, welcome to the show. It's Friday, February 3rd, 2023. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com. Eric, I probably did that myself.
All right. Well, my name's Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me at oursuccessgroup.com. Terry, we are excited today. A great conversation to be had. We're going to start off today talking with Russ Turner from Impressions Expo about their recent Long Beach event, as well as what they've got coming up and just kind of what they expect to see in the industry. And DTF was all the talk there. So we'll get Russ's take a little bit on that too. But then you and I, Terry, will be continuing that conversation about DTF, direct to film. For those of you that are curious what DTF stands for, DTF transfer specifically. And ultimately, Terry, I guess where this came from is I was asked this question by some friends of mine about DTF, and they just basically came out and said, is it a game changer? And I'm like, man, I wanted to talk about that. I want to discuss that. So that's ultimately what we're going to put out on the table here today, Terry.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Aaron, also those introductions we have, I've got more right here from the Long Beach show.
All right. So. Yeah, because we were talking about this before the show started. The comment from Jimmy Lamb about being somewhere dark, dirty, and dank. It's time to update that, I think.
Well, yeah, that and the fact that Jimmy Lamb has retired and now is a boat captain. So
yeah. So anyhow, yes. So we'll get that refreshed. Looking forward to that. And yeah, Todd just said someone at Long Beach tried saying DFT. It's too late for that. Direct film transfer. Yes.
Yeah, there's always some company that tries to rename things. I remember when Direct to Garment came out, I can't even remember what another company was trying to rename it something else.
Yeah,
it's like, no,
it's DTG.
It's in the public domain. You know, it's too late.
It's too late.
As Todd said.
Yeah. All right. Well, Terry, we've got a lot of great things, and another great thing we've got here in store for you is we've got Cassie Green joining us from the Apparelist and Printing United Alliance, and she's going to bring some great news and share some stuff with us here. So, Terry, are you ready for that?
Let's do it. Let's hear from Cassie.
All right.
Morning, everybody. Yeah, we agree. Heard tons of stuff about DTF at the show, so I'm actually really looking forward to listening to your podcast all day today. But first, got some headlines for all of you regulators out there. First headline we've got today, Next Level takes significant steps toward ethical and responsible sourcing. So at the beginning of the year, Next Level Apparel announced that it's expediting its requirement that all fabric suppliers utilize 100% U.S. grown cotton for purchase orders placed after February 1st. Today is February 3rd, so that is officially going for Next Level. The company has said that this is ahead of their original goal, which is tied to a larger initiative to nearshore its supply chain by 2025. I did actually see a headline this morning as well about some more moves Next Level is making for nearshoring. So make sure you check back with Apparelist because we will have the full scoop on that. Don't worry, we are here to report for you. Second headline we've got today, this is expanding our scope a little bit beyond the world of decorated apparel, but this is a really cool story. Patagonia and Samsung prepare to combat microplastics with laundry machines. So for those of you out there, your laundry machines, every time you wash your clothing, releases tiny little microplastics into the environment, not limited to any sort of cycle, whether you're using cold or hot, they just do. It's an unfortunate thing. However, Samsung and Patagonia have been working on this for quite some time. Pretty cool. So there's two ways that Samsung says these laundry machines will do this. First, they're going to have a plastic catching filter that works for any washer. And then second, they will have a specialized wash cycle that halves the microplastic pollution. So that is scheduled for later this year. Again, we're kind of following along with this story, so keep watch with us. Third headline that I want to share with everybody today is there is an upcoming webinar, another great opportunity for some education. The webinar is called Apparel Fulfillment on Demand. Now we are co-sponsoring this with Stalls. They will review some key takeaways for any promotional product distributor looking to accomplish for apparel fulfillment on demand. This is another super hot topic that we heard at ISS in Long Beach. So, there's a lot of staying on top of now. How do we produce orders quickly? How do we do it on demand? We got to stay ahead of industry trends. This webinar will go over all of that stuff. And guess what, guys? It's free. So I would definitely encourage all of you to register for that webinar. Before I sign off today, I actually just want to give a very special birthday shout out to Jordan at the Summer Shirt Project. That's the shirt that I have on today. Jordan has autism, and her family launched the Summer Shirt Project in 2018 as a way to teach Jordan some job skills. They originally started by just saying, hey, let's just print 40 shirts for friends and family. Now, many years later, it's a thriving business, and the company reports that Jordan is doing phenomenal. She's rolling shirts. She writes out little handwritten notes that come with the shirts, which I think is really cool. So happy birthday, Jordan. I hope that you have a really wonderful day. That's everything I've got for you today, guys. Thanks.
All right. Yes. Happy birthday, Jordan. That sounds amazing. Eric, thanks for popping that up there. You want to pop that up on screen one more time if you have that banner handy. BeKindToEveryone.com.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very awesome. And thanks very much to Cassie. Those are really cool things. That washer thing, and then what they've got going on with just all amazing stuff. So thank you so much, Cassie, for coming and sharing the news with us. And really, really good stuff there, Terry. So
hey, let me do a little on-air housekeeping, because that's what we do. Am I still echoing, Aaron?
You're good. It's all okay. Sounds good now. So you got the earbuds in. Is that what was it?
No, I just adjusted a few things. So I have a brand new computer, so my earbuds weren't connecting.
Weren't connecting. Yeah, this is what we do on Two Regular Guys. We like to, just keep everybody on the edge of their seats, including and mainly Mr. Eric. I think making him juggle like crazy. Yeah, that must be our thing, Terry. So all right.
And Eric, I'm sorry when I accused you of muting me. I know it was me. I hit the cough button.
Well, even better, Terry, it was actually me.
Oh.
I heard the echoing and I hit the mute button. So, all right. Well, we've got lots of great stuff to get to here today, and we would be remiss if we did not have a dad joke. Now, we are not the only podcast out there that's all about the dad joke. I know you had an opportunity to talk with Travis Ross from the Print on Demand cast, and Travis was on the program with us, and I know they are. In fact, his shirt said "Tell me a dad joke," right?
Exactly.
Nice. So anyway.
I had to come up with one quickly. They came up to the booth and said, "Hey, Terry, share a dad joke. I know you have one."
You just went back into the database and found one, right?
I did. Went into the old Two Regular Guys podcast archives.
All right. Well, speaking of dad jokes here, I've got one to tell here. And this is from our friend Justa from Sweden, who tunes in from time to time here. I'm not sure. I haven't seen him on today yet, but he sent me a whole slew of them, so we've got plenty to but these are all cow-based, animal-based dad jokes. So I did tell Lewis this to get his approval. For those of you that aren't familiar, Lewis is my 11-year-old son, and that's kind of my gauge, right? So all right. So with all of that, with all this setup, are you ready for the dad joke, Terry?
Let's hear it.
Okay. So what do you get from a dwarf cow?
I don't know. What do you get from a dwarf cow?
Condensed milk.
It was even funnier in the original Swedish. So.
Yes, yeah. My translation was pretty poor. So.
All right. Before we jump in, Aaron, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys, and share your show ideas. We got quite a few openings in the near future. So, please, if you'd like to be on the show, let us know what you'd like to talk about. If you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. And please give us a review wherever you do your podcast listening. And if you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and questions, especially on this new technology, DTF. We'd like to hear from everybody and what you've seen, what you heard, and what you wonder about.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to really have this conversation with the regulators and talk about that after talking to Russ here in just one second. Before we do that, though, Terry, I just want to share one quick thing here that we've got coming up at our success group. It's called the Unlock Your Potential Workshop. And this is actually the last opportunity coming up on February 11th for this particular program. We're going to be sunsetting it after this. So I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to participate if they think this is something that can help them. So Eric, if you're ready, if you could play the ad.
Hi, I'm Kylene.
And I'm Aaron from our success group.
We understand that feeling of knowing something is holding you back.
Are you watching others succeed and wondering what they have that you don't? There's a secret locked away inside of each of us, yet we never think about fixing it because it has to be something external from ourselves. It is the limiting belief that everyone wants to just push aside and try to hustle and grind harder to get there. But the truth is, those limiting beliefs are keeping you from asking for help or doing the action needed to move your business forward.
The sooner you can identify what's holding you back, the sooner you will start achieving your goals. Head on over to oursuccessgroup.com/unlock and click the turquoise button, Learn the Magic to Unlock Your Potential. We hope you make this investment in yourself and unlock your potential so you can find more meaning and success in your life.
All right. So there we go. Wonderful opportunity there for folks. If you want to check that out, again, February is the last opportunity. Yeah, Terry, we're still getting a little feedback there. So a little echo. I don't know.
Okay.
Now it got worse. So I'm not sure what.
Okay. New solution. Keep talking.
Okay. All right. We'll keep talking. All right. Well, speaking of keeping talking, we've been making this gentleman wait for too long here, and we want to get him in here. So Mr. Russ Turner is with Impressions Expo and is going to be joining us here to, as we talked about, talk a little bit about Impressions Expo Long Beach, and then also what's coming up in the future and what he saw. So we welcome into the show Russ Turner from Impressions Expo.
Hey, Aaron. Thanks for having me. Hey, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Russ. And sorry about the technical difficulties we're dealing with here, but we'll get it all squared away. Well, so let's start off here. Unfortunately, I had prior commitments and was not able to make it myself. I had massive FOMO the entire time. And so I know Eric and Terry were there in Long Beach, and I want to hear from you, though. Tell us how successful you thought the event was in terms of, attendance and just satisfaction of those attendees and vendors that were there. What were you hearing?
I heard nothing but great things across the board. It was so good to be back in Long Beach and have a packed exhibit hall. I was at the entrance of the hall, Aaron, on the first couple days of the show, and just seeing the crowd come in. It's impossible to describe the energy that was felt and just the buzz that was there. Overall, I thought it was a tremendous success, but it's not always what I think and feel. It's more about the attendee and exhibitors and what they thought about the event, but I heard nothing but good things. So, and our book, huge success.
Huge success. Awesome. And I think, just the fact that that's what's happening now, right? Especially after what you guys went through in 2020 and all this other stuff, it's got to be just a huge relief to feel the people back and with that excitement again.
Exactly.
Russ, the number of people that were in the hall on Friday and Saturday was just incredible. And and everybody knows historically the show on Sunday is not as busy, and I don't think anybody cared. It was so busy on Friday and Saturday. Everyone was like, it's all good. It's the show always ends up during the playoffs. So I think that kind of impacts that Sunday. But interestingly enough, I was working the equipment zone booth, and the booth next to me, they had their big screen TV facing my booth. So I did get to see my Chiefs play on Saturday. So
there you go. Didn't miss anything.
Right.
Yeah. Todd says the back entrance is a hidden gem to that show right off of the parking garage. So, little inside baseball here.
Most people don't even know that's there.
Yes, please use it.
Yeah. Hey, Russ, just one more question there about that, and we'll still talk about Long Beach here, but I'm curious from your perspective too. Obviously you said you heard nothing but good things, but what were your guys' expectations? Were they a little like, we'll see, we're still kind of in the sea, or do you guys kind of expect this kind of a turnout?
We track everything minute by minute on our end. So we have the visualization to see how things are looking, and if we need to ramp up certain marketing avenues, what have you. So we felt going into it that it was going to be a success, and just tracking the pre-registration numbers, and it turned out to be just that.
Yeah. And any surprises in that, either good or bad, about kind of what the expectations were versus what happened?
I was surprised just trying to navigate my way down some of the aisles. I mean, it was just packed. There's people everywhere. I'm like, okay, which aisle do I need to go down to get there? But no, it was great.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, we're talking here today about DTF, and I love getting perspectives from folks that, you're not an everyday decorator. Your job is to put on an amazing trade show and be that community builder piece. But I'm sure you heard plenty about DTF. What was your take on what people were talking about around DTF?
I think people are excited about it. And going into the event, we had built probably about 4 or 5 different educational sessions related to DTF to have that educational component of it. And the sales team worked really hard to incorporate DTF solutions into the expo hall. So we definitely know that it's on the rise, and we want to stay ahead of the curve and keep that going for all of our attendees that come.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Speaking of the educational opportunities here, Eric, our producer here in the background, says classes were well attended and the energy was incredible. Lots of new decorators, just really dedicated people. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the classes, Russ. How was that part of the show for you guys?
It was really good. It was really good. Some of them were packed all the way to the back. We try to plan to accommodate everybody and get everybody in. Yeah, that part I will go back and say that really surprised me at how packed the classes were, to Eric's point.
Yeah, that's great. See, Terry, I'm trying to get Russ to tell me like one thing that didn't go so well, so I don't have that whole, I'm like, I missed it.
There's always things that go wrong. Unfortunately, we try to mitigate, everything the best we can, but there were things that didn't go according to plan. But
okay,
I'll leave those for another talk.
Yeah. I'm just being selfish here, Russ. I just want to feel better about my absence. All right, no.
We like to get a little inside baseball, So.
Right.
Well, Russ, Impressions Expo is doing 3 shows this year. So we have one coming up pretty quick in Atlantic City. So tell our listeners what they can expect in Atlantic City in March, and then further down the road in Fort Worth.
Yep. We're going to have a packed exhibit hall in Atlantic City in just, less than 2 months, I guess. Quick turnaround from Long Beach. And as far as going back to education, again, we plan to have a really good, strong educational component to the show. So if you're looking for, answers or insight from industry leaders, come there and hear it from the best. And then in Fort Worth, we've got more time to plan that. So we're really focused on Atlantic City right now.
Yeah, that well, like you said, it's coming so quick. I can imagine after everything you guys did to make Long Beach what it was, to keep that momentum rolling. I love it. So I guess, Russ, if we want to look out into further than 2023 here, what can you give us any indication as to what the plans are? Expanding locations again, like the past, or what do you guys? Where's your brains at with that stuff?
It's on the table right now, and just because of COVID and what happened, we're really working to strengthen the 3 events that we've got: Long Beach, Atlantic City, and Fort Worth, and build those back before we really explore any future opportunities. But it's definitely on the table. I get people that email me all the time asking for locations in various states, and something that we're considering. But for the time being, we're just going to stay with the 3 we've got.
I love it. It's, it's so important that you guys are making that focus and making that determination to say, hey, we're going to just make sure that we're giving all we got to these core shows that have been, been the core for you. And because there's something to be said on, we'd all love to have you in our backyards for sure, but
right. And we want to, we'd love that too, but we've just got to make sure it's right and do it right.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Russ, where can people find out more? Sorry, Terry, I'm jumping on top of you. I know you wanted to talk about Long Beach, Terry. Actually, is there anything else that and Impressions Expo, Terry? Anything else that we missed there?
No, I don't think so. I just, we are curious when you're going to rename the seminar area the Eric Campbell wing of the show, since he does so many events there.
Keep an eye out.
All right.
Maybe Atlantic City. Okay.
Yeah. Working on the bronze statue, and I understand how that goes. Awesome. All right, Terry, I'm tired. I'm stopping talking over you, so go ahead.
Well, Russ, hey, let's wrap up by sharing with our listeners how they can reach you or how they can sign up for the upcoming events.
Absolutely. Yeah. If anybody needs to reach me, feel free to email me directly at russ.turner@emerald, like the diamond, X, letter X, emeraldx.com. And for more information on any of the shows or our publication, visit impressionsexpo.com.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Russ, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time here this morning. I know you're surely busy after coming off such a great show and what you got coming up with Atlantic City. So thanks for taking the time with us this morning.
You got it. Happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Russ.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, really cool. And sorry, when you had to kind of get out and change, I all of a sudden got in my brain that I had to, I've done this show solo a couple times, so I got used to that.
I was running around thinking, where do I have headphones that have a cord?
Awesome. All right. Well, it was great to talk to Russ, and we did talk to him a little bit about what they put a focus on DTF too, and obviously it's all the buzz here, Terry. So let's have that conversation, right? That's what we want. That was the other part of what we wanted to talk about here today. And I guess the first thing I'd love to chat with you about, Terry, is wow, I just broke something behind me. There we go.
This is going to be that show.
It is going to be that show. I love it. All right. Well, why did we want to tackle this topic, Terry? What was the kind of, how did this come about?
Well, and we've had Todd on a couple of times. We had Don Copeland from Coldesi on, but I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding about DTF. I think that a lot of folks have, since there've been limited number of trade shows, a lot of folks haven't actually seen it. I remember about a year ago, people coming into the booth saying, I came to buy it. Some of them said, I love it. Others said, well, I didn't know it would feel like this, because, it does have a feel to it. And so anyway, I think that we need to have a conversation about, how it works and some safety concerns that people have as well. So, and here's my disclaimer, Aaron, is I do work with Equipment Zone. Equipment Zone sells direct-to-garment printers, Epson and direct-to-garment printers, and you can use those to make DTF transfers. And we also sell a roll-fed DTF printer as well. the EasyJet Pro. So that's my disclaimer. I am in that marketplace. So
yeah.
hopefully you won't have to take what I say with a grain of salt, because we're all about the education here.
Yeah. And I think that's always been pretty clear. It's definitely been clear to me, but you're that type of guy, right? You're never steering people the wrong way just to get the sale. I know when I was quote unquote, and I'm using that very lightly, quote, your sales manager, right? And like, watching Terry talk somebody out of a sale was always hard to do, but I knew long term that that would be for the betterment of all of us. So, and then Eric just shared the links to where you can check out the earlier shows on DTF, the myths and realities. And the other thing that pops up in the comments here is Todd says, sorry, I lost it there. There we go. Equipment Zone has some of the best transparency on the floor in Long Beach, right? And and I had that conversation with Todd actually earlier in the week. That you guys were shooting people straight, right? If is this for you? Is this not for you? Not just because they had money in their pocket didn't mean that you guys were writing them up, right? You're being clear.
Oh,
about,
right. Yeah. It's got to be a good fit. And Equipment Zone, and certainly me personally, this is a long-term thing for me. And I've had people come back 10 years later. In fact, I talked to someone yesterday, and I think he might be listening in, who said, hey, I was in your screen printing class in Chicago just before COVID. And he said he was going to be tuning in to listen about DTF because that's something that his school is interested in now. So,
yeah. Well, we're going to be 500 episodes in here this year, Terry. And so, you don't hang around for 500 episodes by being somebody who just takes money and runs. So I think we've made that clear. And it was important for us to be clear on this. It's like, why are these guys talking about DTF? For me, I've got no horse in the race, so to speak. I am totally on the outside looking in, and I just want to understand it better from the community side of things, right? I got asked this question, is this a game changer? And I wasn't exactly sure how to answer that, right? Some of me says yes, but some of me says, are we, relying on this quote unquote new technology, which again, that's probably another one of the myths, that this is kind of new technology. The way we're using it now might be a little bit new, but anyway, we'll get to that. So let's dive in there, Terry, and help us dispel some myths, at least from your perspective. Let's just go back to the basics and, direct to film. How does it work, and why do people use it?
Right. Well, as I mentioned, you can do these transfers on a direct-to-garment machine. You don't have to change out the inks or anything. Some of the direct-to-garment machines have an update to the software that will flip the image, tell the printer to print in reverse order. If you don't have that, if you have a machine that doesn't have that option, you just print CMYK. And then you stop, and then you go back and print the same image in white, and you're ready to go. So you're going to be printing on PET film, PET film, polyethylene terephthalate. So go ahead.
Easy to say.
Yeah.
Polyethylene terephthalate. Wow. Yeah, that does not roll off the tongue.
Yeah, which is why I guess they call it PET film.
Yeah, there you go.
So you got that film. You're going to use your water-based ink that either comes with your direct-to-garment machine or your straight-up DTF printer. Then the adhesive powder is a polyurethane resin. Basically the same. And when people are, and we're going to talk about safety, but people will say, well, I hear that's really dangerous. And I'm thinking, well, we've been using it. I've personally been using it for 40 years because when you make a screen print transfer, and anybody who buys transfers from, say, Transfer Express, those are screen printed, and they have polyurethane resin adhesive that is applied to that transfer while the ink is wet. And that's the same thing we do here. The difference is this adhesive is ground more finely, and we'll talk about what that means to us here in just a minute. But you are printing in reverse order. And then what you're going to do is you're going to either apply the adhesive by hand by pouring it on there and just let it run down and shake it off. On a DTF printer, many of them come with a powder shaker dryer, which means the wet ink is going through on the film. It's having powder adhesive dumped on it basically, and as it comes back up again, it's shaking off the excess, and then it's going on through the dryer, and it comes out and it's ready to rock. So on a DTG machine, which I have the most experience with, you're using cut sheets. So there are several now and more coming devices where you take that cut sheet, you put it inside, it's going to powder and shake that film in an enclosed area, much like a pre-treat machine where that would be enclosed. Right. And so that's going to capture that adhesive dust that might be flying about. And so for curing purposes, a DTF printer is going to probably have a powder shaker dryer. So when it comes out the other end, it's cured. If I'm doing cut sheets, there are basically 3 ways to cure that transfer. And there's a lot of confusion about it. So the first way is you can use a small conveyor dryer and send it down through. And what it's doing is it's curing the ink and it's melting the adhesive powder. And to know that it's cured is the surface looks like an orange peel, has that texture of an orange peel. Now, let me say right now, it won't be orange. It'll be white. And the reason I say
just the texture of an orange.
The texture of an orange, because many get call, no matter what I do, I can't get it to turn orange. Okay, stop.
I love it.
But next option is having a heat press with a bottom heating element. And I think on most of the machines, they're in that $800 to $1,000 range. And you don't even have to have the top heat on. You can just lay that transfer on that bottom heat element, and it takes about 90 seconds to cure. But hey, I want to experiment with this. I don't want to buy anything else. I've got a DTG printer of some kind. I want to try it. So you buy the film, you buy the powder, you print in reverse. You can take the heat press you have, bring it, clamp it down on the pad, clamp it down with nothing on the heat press for maybe 30 seconds, pop it up, and you can lay that transfer on that hot platen, and it's going to cure in about 90 seconds. Now, some people like to hover. All of that's going to do for you is hold the heat in a little bit. I preach heat presses, and Aaron, you do too.
Yeah.
You can cure that by just hovering, but it's going to take 5 or 6 or 10 minutes. And the reason is heat presses are contact heat sources, which means they don't radiate heat. So you hovering there is doing almost nothing. But if you heat up that platen and lay that transfer on there, it will cure in about 90 seconds, and then you're good to go. A lot of people will put slip sheets in between when you stack them up. That's just a little extra precaution, but you're ready to transfer. And by transferring it, you can transfer in a range of 275 degrees up to 330 degrees, and depending on the substrate you're going on. And so the way that we do it is we'll put the shirt on the heat press. We're going to heat press it for about 15 seconds. We do cold peel. We've done some experimenting with hot peel, but our best washability has come with cold peel. So after 15 seconds, after it cools, room temperature, you peel that off. Then we're going to put a silicone parchment paper or even a Teflon sheet over that and heat press it again for about 5 seconds. We've found that our washability improves by hitting it one more time, pressing that image down into the garment. So at that point, you're good to go. And Aaron, me being an old screen print guy, the first time I saw this, I thought, well, this is going to be a novelty print. This is going to last 5 or 10 washings. We have yet to have any degradation of the transfer on a garment at even 60 washings. And in our industry, as you know, Aaron, 50 washings is considered a permanent print.
Yeah.
You're going to get far more than that. But the washability of this was really shocking to me. I was very, very surprised. But, and plus, it's a lot of other substrates you can do beyond garments.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's impressive. A couple things there. First, you're a veteran screen printer, Terry, not an old screen printer.
Right. I don't know
yes.
how I forgot that.
Yeah, come on. The washability definitely is something that I've been really impressed with. This shirt right here this is actually a transfer from our friend Todd Downing with Fat Dad Wholesale, and this is one of my favorite shirts. I wear it and wash it all the time. I haven't kept track, but I mean, it feels like the day I put it on. So I love that you shared that. The other thing is you were explaining it, especially with like the shaker and stuff like that. All I could think about is like some of those shows that I'll watch, the like how it's made, where the food is going down and like the donuts getting the powdered sugar on top of it, and then it's shaking off the excess. And I'm like, that must be what's happening, right? I wonder. And then Todd said, if it's orange, you burnt it. So
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Todd, as a side note, I get a lot of folks who will call up and say, "Hey, I want to do this, but I don't, I only have $5,000, right?" And I always say, well, start by buying transfers. Here is the website for Fat Dad Wholesale. I do that twice a day, man.
Yeah,
so.
that's good. Yeah, and I think yes, and that's interesting, right? It's like you can do this without getting any equipment, right? You can be in this
just a heat
business, so to speak. And then a couple more quick comments from Todd here, and any of the other regulators out there that want to jump in, share your thoughts, share your questions, jump in, please. But when we were talking about kind of your place in the industry, Todd said there are way more box movers at the show than businesses wanting to make sure it's the right fit. And I think around that excitement, I think we kind of can get sucked into that trap of wanting to be a box mover. I get that, right? And then and he also mentioned that if DTF was going to kill DTG, Ryan Et would not be selling a $1 million DTG printer. I know Epson's still going strong with their DTG equipment. Kornit is having, record years. So yes, I think there's space for everything here.
Well, and Aaron, and I've been in this a long time, and so we lived through
veteran,
right? We've lived through DTG is going to replace screen printing, and even our boss Scott Fresner would tell the screen printing classes, well, screen printing will be gone in 3 years, and I'd walk up and before he left the room and say, that's not true. That this is just another tool, and then it was the white toner machines.
Yeah,
they're going to replace direct to garment printing. No, they're not. That's just another tool that people can use for short runs, that sort of thing. And then it was DTF. DTF is going to replace DTG, and it's not. It's another tool. In fact, anybody that has a DTG machine, you need to be doing DTF, because this opens the door for 100% poly and koozies and all those kind of things. That can you make your DTG machine do it? You can. Should you? No, absolutely not, because the time and effort and spoilage involved in doing something like 100% poly on a DTG machine is just not worth it. But I was just talking to somebody recently who said, I had an order 20 100% cotton shirts, and I ran them DTG, but they wanted to add 5 100% poly shirts. So without skipping a beat, they printed their 20 shirts on DTG. They went into the software and selected DTF, laid the transfers on there. Wham bam, they had their 5 polyester shirts done as well in the same print run. So
yeah. I mean, it's like just the polo shirt that I'm wearing, right? Could I do this on DTG? This one maybe not so much, because it is a lot of poly, but you could do polo shirts on a DTG. You have to, make a jig. You have to kind of get everything just right. Whereas I can print, and even I know people that have, and we won't name names here because we're not here to call anybody out, but some machines that maybe aren't as fast, maybe aren't quite the quality and speed of some of the other machines that are out there, but yet they've started printing DTF transfers, because I can print, 20 left chest logos at one time and then be pressing. So there's definitely a lot to it. Ramona and Tom, we'll get to yours here and your questions here in just one second. But I guess I want to get us into the next question here. So we talk about, that it's got its place, right? So, and all that kind of stuff. But Terry, why do you think it's so appealing that everybody's kind of flocking to this? It's all the talk. Everybody wants to get their piece of this DTF pie. Why is that? Any ideas?
Yeah, it's first of all, it's really easy to get a really professional looking image on a shirt. The regulars hear me say this all the time. Screen printing, I can teach you to screen print over a weekend. But to be an expert screen printer, it's going to take you 3 years. DTG, I've been saying for a long time, you can be an expert DTG decorator in 30 to 90 days because there are fewer variables in screen printing. There are no variables in DTF printing, basically. So if you have a good piece of artwork and you understand how to put the powder on and how to dry it, it's very, very easy to get a very professional look. The other side of the coin, though, is all the other substrates. At the Equipment Zone booth in Long Beach, speaking of that show, we had an area set up where Sanmar partnered with Equipment Zone, and Sanmar sent over all these products that were not garments, backpacks and all kinds of things. And we just were there. Jay, not me. I pointed a lot. I didn't actually.
That guy, yeah.
Yeah. But so Jay spent the entire show over there putting these DTF transfers and neck labels. He was doing neck labels on a label press, inside size labels, but with your logo, that sort of thing. Now, I will confess that most of the people came over, said, "Hey, we're going to get that cap press. We borrowed that from Kim. That was the I-360 stalls cap press." And so people were more interested in that. But it was so cool that we could do all these other items. And so, again, it makes what you're doing more versatile. It's just another way to decorate. But hey, Aaron, I talked to somebody at Printing United. She is a customer of mine, and she had bought her third F2100, and she said the demand for DTF transfers was so great. That's why she bought the third machine. And she goes, I still can't keep up. So now she has bought a DTF printer, prints 2 feet wide, 50 feet an hour. Just to keep up with it. And, there are several companies out there that said, I don't have time to do DTG now because there's so much demand for the DTF. So, it's certainly a place for both. But, that happens in businesses where, I don't have time to do, I'm going to make Eric mad. I don't have time to do the embroidery anymore. So see you later. He's going to sign me off. No. Just kidding, Eric.
It really, you follow your customers, right? What's the demand telling you? And I think you're right, Terry. I think there's a lot of interest in this because, like you said, it does reduce. I wouldn't go so far as saying reducing all of the variables. You've got some things that you've got to, like you said, become an expert in, right? Like my orange is not turning orange in color, right? I mean, you do have to cure and some things like that. But I agree with you. So I guess the other part here that we want to talk about, and this will lead us. Well, let's get Tom's question first, and then we'll get to Ramona's question because I do want to talk about maybe some potential drawbacks here. But Tom says, for printing on dark garments, do you need to create an underbase in the design stage, or does the DTF software do that automatically? Does the software choke the white? Right, thinking like a screen printer. I love it.
Yeah. Both those things are true. Whether you're printing in a DTG scenario or a straight DTF, the machine will create that underbase as opposed to as a screen printer who has to create it in the art program. The software for DTG and DTF will create that underbase for you, so there's not that extra step. Yes, it will choke, and then you have the option of going in, and I'm going to say in all the software. I haven't used all the software, but I have to believe that you can go in and adjust that choke as well. Some people, just make a white outline around everything. I don't like that look myself, but yes, the software will do that for you, create it for you.
Now, because the underbase can definitely, with screen print, we know for sure that the underbase can really make or break a design. In this, It is a little bit different though, because you're not pushing ink through a screen to get dots. This is liquid ink that's falling onto a plastic, the PET. Uh, so you're going to get some more quote unquote bleed to those dots, right? I mean, because you're already
Yeah.
putting it on top of wet ink that was there from the CMYK portion. So how important is that underbase? Like, could you really improve your prints by, creating your own underbase that's a lot more technical, like a screen print?
I don't think it would be necessary to do
Yeah.
that. And here's the beauty of it is there's very, very little ink that's laid down because, say, in screen printing or even direct to garment printing, that ink is actually absorbing into the fabric. So your white underbase is a very, very thin layer of white because once you apply the adhesive powder, that adhesive powder is the barrier between your image and your garment. So no dye migration, and that white ink is not absorbing down in there. So as a screen printer, I've got to lay down a little bit of extra white ink sometimes to really make that image pop.
Yeah.
As long as there's a white underbase on there, as thin as you want to make it, it's going to completely mask the color of the shirt. It's also going to mask any dyes that are coming from that shirt. For a screen printer or a direct to garment printer, even any man-made fabric, that dye is going to come into your ink. And so it's dye migration is the scourge of screen printing. So for 100% poly, this is the technology to go with.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And that is it, that it was one of the things I remember early on before, the software had come about. I've got an Epson F2100 and we were trying to do DTF on that before the software upgrades were there, right? And I remember somebody saying, yeah, you've got to, not put down as much white. I'm like, what? Oh, that didn't. I'm like, oh, I guess it does make sense now. All right. Well, so the next thing I wanted to talk about with you, Terry, is kind of what are the drawbacks to the equipment? And I've got a couple of things that I'm thinking about, but I guess that, what are maybe some of the challenges that people aren't talking about? But in this, you had talked about the feel of it a little bit earlier on, and Ramona says I had to step out, but you earlier said about the feel of it. How do you compare the feel of it to the white toner transfers?
Well, I think there's a little similarity there because it depending on, if it's a big solid area and try not to make big solid areas, but it has almost the feel of sometimes of almost like paper adhered to the fabric.
Yeah.
I mean, so there is definitely a feel to it. And some people say, I have zero problem with it. A lot of screen printers will look at it and go, nah, I don't like the hand. I don't like the way that feels. So that's probably the biggest drawback. That and brand new technology, Aaron, and it's every day reminds me of back in US screen days when the T-Jet was introduced and white ink was introduced, and struggling with head clogging, things like that. So there's still a lot of work being done on figuring out exactly, how to keep print heads running, open, that sort of thing. So, and I think it's going to improve faster with this technology because we've already lived it with DTG.
Yeah.
So a lot of the lessons we learned with DTG are already being applied to DTF. But if you are you want to buy a machine and run it once a week, you're probably better off reaching out to Todd and starting out buying your transfers. And let me add something about buying transfers. Try a couple of different people because, and I'm sure Todd can attest to this. We sent the same graphic to multiple companies just to see what their transfers looked like.
Mm-hmm.
The exact same piece of artwork. No two of those transfers looked the same. And so, in fact, one company said, "Oh, you have to pay $30 to fix your artwork." Well, nobody else had to have the artwork fixed, and it came back with big white outlines around everything. So, don't order from one company and think, "Oh, I don't like this. This is the way this looks." If you don't like it, try somebody else. And I think you'll probably find somebody that has a little better knowledge of how this works. And a lot of people are jumping into it, and saying, hanging out their shingle and saying,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, you can buy transfers from me. And
Yeah.
not everybody is expert at any of this.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I love that. And so real quick back to the talk about the feel and the hand. Todd says we're our own worst critics for hand. I think that's definitely a true statement, right? Like the everyday average, I mean, heck, they were okay with the big transfers back in the day, the the inkjet transfers and stuff like that, right? Where it felt like you were wearing a piece of paper.
Exactly.
To me, and again, this is just my own opinion, so just take it for what it's worth. But I mean, like Terry said, the artwork, the design is going to play a big factor in what the hand is, right? If you just put a big rectangle on a shirt, regardless of the technology, for the most part, outside of sublimation, you're going to feel it at some level. So to me, it kind of like cut vinyl is probably, to me, the thickest, but there are some, softer things out there in that realm, right? And then kind of white toner transfers next. But there are some techniques with rasterization and things like that you can make those feel really nice too. And then DTF, and then DTG, and then my favorite, sublimation, because you can't feel it at all. But anyhow, so yeah, I think that's a good, because Ramona said 2 thoughts to share. Visited a tourist town last summer. All the prints were DTF or white toner, full color. And then the second thought is, after the first wash, the feel was softer. And I think that's another thing that, I think all of the decorating technologies, once you wash them, it kind of breaks it up, so to speak. And so any thoughts on that?
Well, 100%. And for instance, direct to garment, I'm all about putting down as little pre-treat as possible, but even with some pre-treat on there, there's a little feel to it, a little hand, but that first wash, all that pre-treat washes away. And so it's a much, much softer feel. And true as DTF as well. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with telling your customer that. But not an ad for Equipment Zone, but just another example. We had the hat press there, and we were doing hats. We used to have 2 different hat press or hat attachments, platens, on the website for the F2100, the F2000, the F3070. We took them off the website, and we tell people, that's not the best way to do the hats. Now make a DTF transfer, cut it out, then you can print it on almost any hat, the stiff structured hat, because in reality, on a DTG printer using a hat platen, you're talking about dad hats,
Not everybody can wear the Eric Campbell hat. It's just not possible. All right. A couple more comments in here. Again, thanks for jumping in there, Todd and Ramona. If anybody else has, and Tom, and anybody else has anything they want to talk about or share. Todd just was agreeing with you there, Terry, for sure. Try lots. You will find who works best for you and your business. And Todd says a lot of people doing it shouldn't be, LOL. And then kind of following up with the conversation about the hand and the stretch and the feel, never seen a normal customer go into a store and start trying to stretch a Nike shirt. So
they're a screen printer if that's what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And let me know that we're getting short on time, but
we're fine.
I have people say, well, it didn't pass the stretch test. Well, the stretch test is for plastisol ink. To know if plastisol ink is cured properly, it will stretch. If it cracks, it's not cured. This is water-based ink. This is different. If you stretch it enough, it'll crack, but it will recover. When you let go of it, it's going to recover again. So, I hear that a lot over the years, the stretch test. Stretch test is just for plastisol ink.
Yeah,
so.
I love it. Good way to dispel that myth, because I definitely do it, but I do it on things that I know are screen printed, because immediately, I got a new sweatshirt. It's a really nice sweatshirt, but I went, and the first thing I did was stretch it, and it cracked. I'm like, okay, I got to cure that more so it'll wash for me.
Exactly right. Put it on your heat press or run it down a conveyor dryer. And when my daughters were in dance, and you got to get the shirt at every event you go to, I would never let them wear those until I ran them down my dryer at home, because there are lots and lots and lots of screen printers, DTG printers, DTF printers, embroiderers, sublimation printers. There are not a lot of good screen printers.
Deliver on
down
time.
the list.
Do good work.
Well,
Do good work.
do good work, deliver on time. And Aaron, part of the curse here is this is really easy to do,
Yeah.
which means more people are going to get into this end of it because they're not going to have to work as hard to learn to do it, and maybe they're going to be cutting some corners.
Yes.
So
yeah.
keep that in mind.
So for you decorators out there that are listening to Two Regular Guys, we know you care about what you're doing in your craft because you're spending time with us. So just keep at it. Keep doing good work and delivering on time, and that will ultimately win the fly by nights that come in and try to cut corners. Yes, it might be annoying for a moment, but just keep taking care of your customers and doing.
And you're right, Aaron. The people that are listening to this show, the people are the same people who experiment, the same people who try to educate themselves, and so we're kind of preaching to our own choir here. It's
Yeah.
the people who don't listen. It's the people who don't go to shows. It's the
Yeah.
people who don't do seminars.
Yeah.
Those are the folks that are making us all look bad out there in the world.
Yeah. So the person who gets into it next door to you, just send them to the Two Regular Guys, and then we'll get them educated
We'll
up,
set
and
'em
at least
straight.
they'll be a better steward of our industry here. So, all right.
And maybe have a joke they can share at a cocktail party.
There you go. Absolutely. All right. Well, we are, like you said, running a little bit short on time. Tom, you must be reading our outline. You're feeding right into where I want to head here next here. So Tom asked this: is the ink adhesive safe for toddler children's clothing? Right? If I'm in California, Prop 65 comes up, right? What talk to us a little bit about what you know about that, Terry.
Yeah, and there's a lot of confusion out there. It is safe to use, and there will be some Okie-Tex approvals on a lot of these products soon. Not yet, but here's everything I can find about it. Both the film and the adhesive, when it's heated, like in your heat press or dryer, it can cause some eye, skin, or respiratory irritation. But once it's cooled again, once it's set, it's perfectly safe. And there's a lot of buzz about having proper ventilation. Yes, anything like this you're doing, you should certainly have some ventilation. Don't do it in the back corner of your basement in an 8x8 room that has no airflow. But here's the other thing. There's been some conversation about, well, the powder's a carcinogen. Here's the thing with the powder. For screen printers, it wasn't ground as finely, so it didn't really kind of go up into the air when you used it. It was it was kind of like sand. It was heavier.
Yeah.
They're making these adhesives more and more finely ground, which means when you're shaking it up, it can get up into the air. Well, if we were bakers and we were doing flour and it was getting up in the air every day, you don't want to breathe that in. You're introducing a foreign substance into your lungs.
Yeah.
So just be careful with it. Just don't kind of fling it around the room, and you're going to be perfectly fine.
Don't snort it.
Yeah, don't snort it, even though it comes in a kilo when you buy it.
Yeah.
I always wonder about that, when these companies are bringing it in, it all comes
customs
in.
is like, what is going on?
Customs like, man, these guys are blatant. There's 1,000 kilos in here of white powder. They even say it on the outside of the container.
Yeah. We'll just leave that out there as a Two Regular Guys a warning. Don't snort anything, right? And let's just leave it at that.
But yeah, and like I said, it's a finely ground powder. Any finely ground powder, repeatedly breathing it in, it potentially is going to cause an issue for you. I mean, people back in the Carolinas, back in the day when they made garments down there, people worked in those factories for 40 years would, I believe they called it white lung as opposed to black lung, like coal miners breathing in the coal dust.
Yeah. So the cotton, basically, right? The cotton fibers.
The cotton fibers, breathing those fibers in was much like black lung, where the coal miners were always breathing in the coal dust. Anything like that, try to avoid that. Our techs, when they do it, they don't wear masks. They don't, but hey, if you want to put on gloves when you do it, if you want to put on a mask, all the much safer. But it's not the great Satan that some people believe it is. So.
Yeah. And I think, right. Just use, if you're doing it all the time and you're in a very more enclosed space, think about some ventilation, put a mask on, right? Stuff like that. Just keep yourself safe. But at the same time, like you said, it's not, oh my God, there's a little bit of powder in the air and I'm going to keel over tomorrow kind of thing. Right. It's,
there's one company out there that has a liquid adhesive that prints as it goes through. So they were kind of the instigators of, oh, you don't want to use that powder because it's dangerous. Well, except for with the liquid adhesive, you have to have a pneumatic press to apply those transfers. And guess what? If you're selling transfers like Todd, how many customers have pneumatic presses? 1 out of 1,000. So guess what? That same company now also sells a machine with the adhesive powder. I believe that story may have shifted a bit.
Gotcha. All right. Well, on that note, Terry, we've come to our close here, coming to the time. But Todd, I think you've got a typo in your comment there. He says Aaron is going to teach a class on DTF next year. I think he meant to say Todd is going to teach a class on DTF next year with Aaron's support. So that's let's make sure that we're clear on that. Yeah.
Let the experts be the experts, like Todd.
Right. Todd's been around this for a very long time, and So even as we were talking about this, I did reach out to Todd and be like, hey, just make sure that you're here, and he's here, obviously. So thank you, because I don't want to sound like a total, I know what you're talking about, Terry, but
but somebody like Todd does this every day. I mean, I talk about it every day.
Yeah. So Todd says about the liquid adhesive and you don't know that liquid adhesive is on there until you press it. So more variables there. So again, this is so interesting. When you talk about that story kind of coming up, this takes me back to another crazy story from my past, but I used to sell log homes. I think people may have heard this before. And, there was always do you have a full round log or a D log? And both sides, the other was just, why would you do that? Why would you have a D log? That's so not traditional. And then the other side is like, how do you hang anything or have a flat wall on the inside of your home? So speaking of that, Doug Quinn, much earlier, said that he missed the show last week. We will give him a pass because he was on a cruise. There you go. Missed last Friday's show while on Explorer of the Seas in the Caribbean. So We'll give you a pass this time, Doug, but no
Good on you, Doug. Awesome.
Yeah. Doug's a friend of mine from the log home world, and he's still involved in log homes. So if you're looking for a log home, Doug Quinn is your guy.
And he's a lot of fun too. I've been in Atlantic City with him more than once.
Yeah, Doug's a great guy. Those kinds of friends that you run into in places, kind of like you and Eric are. There's people you want to be around no matter what you're doing. So, all right. So with that being said, Terry, thank you so much for the great education. I learned a lot. The pressing thing. I was a hover guy, so now I've got to change that up. I like that. I'm going to give that a shot. All right. So Terry, what do you have coming up here, sir?
I have my complete screen printing business course, and by the way, screen printing is not going away. These classes all sell out. Just saying.
Yep.
In fact, added classes in 2023. So Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago, I will be there March 4th and 5th.
Nice.
Workhorse Products in Phoenix, I will be there March 11th and 12th.
Wow.
February 25th, I'm speaking at the DAC show in Kansas City, and I'll be seeing you, Aaron, and Eric.
Yeah.
My seminars are everything you ever wanted to know about DTG and DTF printing. And my next seminar, and I got to really, really bring it because it's the ultimate seminar for successfully using specialty inks in screen printing.
Yeah. I'm a little upset that they put me at the same time slot as your ultimate seminar. So I'll be sitting there by myself while everybody's in
how
the
could you not
seminar.
go to the ultimate? I don't know what this guy's going to talk about, but it's the ultimate.
It's the ultimate. I'm thinking about just canceling and heading to the ultimate seminar. So, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see you out there, Terry. Really good stuff. Where can people find out and learn more?
All my events are at my website, terrycombs.com, under tour dates. And so go over there and take a look. And I'm always updating and adding things as they come along.
Yeah.
How about you, Aaron? What do you got going?
Well, let me share what Eric's got coming up here first, and then I can share a couple of my things here. But Eric has got his back for the take up here. He's on at episode 142, and today's going to be Q&A, embroidery analysis, and patch production pros and cons. Terry, embroidery is not dead either. So just so you know.
I know, and patches are a big deal.
Yes, they are. All right. Well, in today's episode over there at the Take Up, you got to check this out. He's going to answer some viewer questions about determining stitch types and execution from looking at machine embroidery samples, as well as the work we do to reproduce them, and explain the pros and cons of small run patch production methods, including why anyone would want to make a thread only patch despite the staggering stitch count. So tune in, check that out live at 2:30 Mountain Time, and share your take, as it is the take up. So definitely go check that out. If you want to find out more, you can go over to ericcampbell.com, and that'll just link you right into where you need to go. As you mentioned, Terry, Eric will be out at DAX as well, and he's got classes coming up there at the end of the month, at the end of February, including a longer workshop entitled Build Up Your Digitizing, Design Elements and Execution. And then his shorter seminar, there will be Embroidery RX, a digitizer's view, all about troubleshooting designs. So both fantastic classes. Make sure you sign up for those at DAX Show, no S at the end, daxshow.com. So tune in and check that out. For me, Terry, I just launched a brand new program. So if you're someone who's an admin of a Facebook group or have a community of small business owners, I would love to partner with you. I'm going to bring a proven format for masterminding to your community, and then you will bring that into your community, and I will do the work in the background. So if you want to check that out, go over to mosmasterminds.com. That's MOS. It stands for Masters of Success. Masterminds with an S at the end.com. So check that out.
Awesome. That's awesome, yeah. Aaron, because so many people have these ideas to do these things, but they don't know how. So that's a really cool program.
Yeah, I've been running masterminds for a couple of years now, and just watching the transformation in people. And I knew that I couldn't get out myself to the amount of people, just doing it on my own. I actually have a goal by the end of 2024 to have supported over 10,000 people through masterminding. And I'm like, there's no chance, I don't have enough time in my day to do that. And so this was an opportunity. Actually was talking to Todd about some things. And so, yeah, if you want to bring some groups there, I'll give you all the tools. I've been fortunate enough to learn a lot from my work with Jack Canfield. I actually lead groups for him, actually. And so I'm going to share all that knowledge with you. All you have to do is bring the community. So thank you for saying so, Terry. And then I know we talked about DAX already, but before DAX, next week, actually, I'm heading out to the International Personalization and Awards Expo. It used to be called APA, but it's happening in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's happening from February 7th through the 10th. I will be in on the 9th for my seminar called Benefits of the Simple Act of Working on Your Business. And then, as we talked, DAX Kansas City, I can't wait for that. I also have a booth there with our success group. We have a booth. It's booth 211. And so that's going to be where you can catch us there. But I also have 3 seminars that I'll be putting on. The morning of the 24th, I've got the simple act of working on your business, kind of similar to what I'm talking about at APA. Then later on in the day, on February 24th, I've got the 5 keys of marketing. This is about your marketing plan, your marketing foundation. Not going to tell you how to go do Facebook ads. I'm going to tell you how to figure out what's right for your company, the real keys, the real foundation. And then on the 25th, the next day, I've got a seminar called Getting Your Life Back. I'm really excited about this one, Terry, because I get to talk about just kind of time management, right? People think we have a time management problem, but we really don't. We have a priority management problem, because we all have the exact same 24 hours in a day. So why is somebody successful and able to do all the things they want to do where other people might be struggling? Right. And it just comes down to priority management. So I've been able to learn a bunch of really cool techniques that I can't wait to share with people there. I think I think it's the 5 keys of marketing that I'm competing with you with the ultimate. So we'll see. We may have to figure that out. No,
I feel like a DAX slacker with just 2 seminars compared to you and Eric.
I did pay for the third one, so it's okay. All right. And then right after that, I'm heading to Lafayette, Louisiana. And I feel like I should have Eric be doing this with me because I get to do 5 seminars there. So
Wow.
can't wait. But Lafayette, Louisiana, the EEM show, if you go to eemshows.com. But actually over at the Our Success Group Facebook page, Terry, I am giving away 2 tickets tomorrow. All you have to do is just share the post and comment on it. And so if you are thinking about going to the Lafayette, Louisiana show March 3rd, thank you, Eric, facebook.com/Our Success Group Pro. There's a pinned, featured post at the top, and all you have to do is share that, and you will be entered for a chance to win free ticket to the show plus 3 free classes. Is about an $80 value. So I got 2 of those to give away. So, all right. So that's what I've got going on, Terry. We're getting busy. It's the spring show time, right?
It is indeed. I didn't think I was going to be traveling as much, and my son in New York City, and his wife reached out about coming out to visit in like March. I'm like, oh, I'm gone every weekend in March. April? How about the end of April?
Yeah, so. I know. I just put together my complete 2023 calendar with my wife. We just sat down and kind of mapped out the year, and I'm going. And she said to me, oh, well, I guess I'll see you in May. I'm like, maybe. All right. Well, Terry, we have come to the close of another show. I do want to thank the regulators, Todd and Tom and Ramona for participating and sharing. Also, we need to thank Russ from Impressions Expo for joining us and coming off, by all accounts, again, I tried to get him to make me feel better about missing it, but a very successful show out there in Long Beach. So thanks very much to Russ, and also thanks to Cassie for the wonderful news segment again. So we're so blessed to have these great news outlets coming and helping enhance the Two Regular Guys podcast here, Terry. It's really great. Yeah.
We also want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for keeping the wheels turning and finding all those things and posting up there when we say, about 30 minutes ago, someone said, Eric goes and finds it. Yeah, so thanks, Eric, for all those things you do in the background for us every day, every Friday.
Yeah. And he got Russ here too. So thanks for that as well. Much appreciated. All right, Terry. Well, next week we are, for those on the podcast side, I'm using air quotes, efforting for a couple of different topics and potential guests here. But regulators, we really need you. We need you all to tell us what you want to hear about or who you want to hear from, and then we can make that happen. But we need you guys to let us know, right? We're after nearly 500 episodes here, Terry, after when we started this going, what we're going to talk about each week. Well, after 500 episodes, it's really like, what are we going to talk about each week? So,
well, yeah, now we're like, okay, I think we talked about this 3 years ago. So it's okay to bring this one back.
Yeah. We talked, oh wait, that was 7 years ago. We can get to that one for sure. Okay. All right, for sure. But we need your help, guys. So please let us know, and please reach out and tell us what you want to hear or who you want to hear from. And I know some of you guys have done that, and so keep that coming. We do have some shows coming up that were listener suggestions. We're going to have Denise from Silky Socks on later, Ashley from Artist Spree. But we've got slots like Terry mentioned earlier on in the show. So info@tworegularguys.com for the podcast listeners out there. Let us know.
Yeah, whether you want to be on or you have an idea, we're happy to hear from you. So until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery,
and we are the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.